Good morning, this is Leah with Backyard Homestead in Starkville, Mississippi, and we are out this morning in the garden. It is Wednesday, December 30th, and it's supposed to get up to about 66 degrees today, so we're out getting some planting done. It got down really cold earlier in the week. We were down in the 20s, but the next few days are supposed to be rainy and hot, so we're going to try to get some stuff in the ground. And we've got this row worked up and ready, and we're about to plant some sugar snap peas on this row. And this row we have some mustard greens that we are going to pick these and have these for New Year's Day, but they're doing really well and they're ready to pick. We're going to have a nice meal out of these. That'll be on Friday, but right now we're going to get out and get some work done in the garden, and I'm about to plant our sugar snap peas down this row. I'll come back and show you that in a minute. Over here, we are getting ready to, well, these bags in the middle are bags that we have picked up from our neighbors. They chop them up and put them in bags, and we got those. We're going to use those to mulch in the garden. And over where Alan is, we are getting ready to do something brand new. I'm going to show you that and talk more about it in a minute, but something we haven't tried before. But he's getting the row laid out for that while I get over here and plant these peas. But I will come back and share more about what he's preparing the area over there for in a minute. And these are giant Oregon sugar pods, and you plant them about, it says anywhere from 2 to 4 inches apart. So I've got them planted down the row, almost finished. This soil worked up so nice. It's beautiful, fluffy and dark. Lots of organic. I even saw a couple earthworms we've turned over. So hopefully these will have time to make. Okay, I've got all the seeds planted about 2 to 4 inches apart, and then we just go back and kick a little bit of dirt over them with the hoe, and then just come back and tamp them in pretty firmly. It's supposed to rain really hard tomorrow, in the next couple days, so I'm going to tamp them in pretty good, but just put a light covering of dirt over them. And that's it for these.
Yeah, we'll mulch them with the
oh yeah, and
leaves.
We've got the bags of chopped up leaves I told you about, and also we've got leaves still falling a little bit, so we'll go back and mulch lightly over the top with some chopped leaves just to help hold everything in place. Okay, so I got this whole row planted, and again, this is the Oregon giant sugar pods, some peas. Got this planted, and try to spin slowly. Then over here, we have another row. Alan got this one. Let me move my bucket. This is another row of the Oregon giant sugar pods that we planted on, excuse me. This is another row of the Oregon sugar pods that we planted on this fence, and we've already mulched over it with some chopped leaves. This row right here. And that's what we're going to do to the other row. We're going to put some chopped leaves, just dust over the top. So it'll still get rain, but it won't just wash up the seeds, because it's supposed to be some pretty torrential rain tomorrow. And then we also planted, pan over here, planted some more of the Oregon sugar pods down this row, and we've mulched over this row with some chopped leaves as well. And then our next project, I mentioned earlier, Alan's over here preparing this row for something that we haven't tried before, and right now he's just taking, this is essentially broad forking the ground without a broad fork. We're just loosening the soil just to aerate it, not tilling, we're not turning it over, but just loosening it up. Get some air down in there and make it less compact. And we don't till, we don't have a tiller, we don't turn over the soil. We have to, if we're gonna sow seed directly, we have to take a hoe and just chop it up a little bit just to create a bed for the seeds. And we're gonna plant something new. If it hasn't been loosened in a while, we'll take this digging tool and go through and just aerate the soil. There's a worm. Loosen it up. But that's what we don't till anymore. But anyway, he's going to loosen a row right here, and then he's going to loosen another row beside it, and I will come back and show more of what we're going to do here in just a minute. These are our red candy onions that we planted last year. We ordered the onion sets from Dixondale Farms and planted them and had a great onion harvest. But these are some of the red onions, and they started to sprout. They sprouted a lot more quickly and easily than the white onions did. We had very few of the white onions sprout on us, but these started to sprout, and so we decided just to let them go ahead and sprout, and then we're going to try to plant them this year.
Yeah, dry up.
See, it's dry in there.
Like not even.
Yeah, just like air left, and you can separate these out into individual onion plants.
Like that one.
Yeah,
Nothing.
that's just air in there. It's just dried completely up. And then you have all these beautiful little individual onion plants. Al's going to get one separated and show you. So we're going to try to separate these, divide them into the individual plants, and then we are going to plant these. There it goes.
It's getting roots.
Let me try to get close. Yeah, it's got little roots started. So we're just going to plant these in the garden. And that's what we're preparing this latest row I showed you. And that's where we're going to plant these onions. So we never tried this before. It's kind of an experiment, but don't see why it shouldn't work. And then we'll have to we won't have to order the red candy onions. We'll order some white ones because they didn't sprout like this. But that way we can have yeah, we have plenty though. If some of them break, we'll have plenty to make up for it.
Well, there's 3.
There's 3 ready to plant. So we're going to get the soil ready and then divide these out and use these to plant our red candy onions this year. Pretty fun experiment. And as you can see, we've got plenty of them. So, all right. Well, I will bring you back when we start preparing the row. Okay, so Alan took a string so we could do the row straight and loosen the soil. And the other day we built these little boxes just out of some scrap wood we had laying around, and we are going to use these to frame the rows. We intend to put these down on the area where he loosened the soil, and then we're going to fill the boxes with some prepared soil. We're using some black cow, some peat moss, and some compost we have here, and prepare some soil for them. So this will be an interesting experiment. Alan is over here mixing the soil now. We put in a bag of black cow, and now we're going to add some peat moss, and we have compost and some worm castings we're going to add to this. Okay, this is what we're doing with the boxes. We've placed them on the area that Alan already aerated the soil, and then we have our soil mixture in the wheelbarrow, and we're putting the soil in the boxes to create the rows. And then we are going to plant the onions in these boxes and use these bags of chopped leaves to go down either side of the boxes and in between to kind of hold the soil in place. And that's what we're using to create our double row. And we're going to do it in this little area and then slide on down and finish out the rows using this process.
We're not going to fill them all the way.
Yeah, we're not going to fill them all the way up. Doesn't take that much soil for the onion roots. And they basically grow right on top of the ground from what we found. You just barely tuck them in and they grow right on top of the soil. So just enough for a little root space. All right, I'll come back when we start. Well, get ready to plant the onions now. And just flatten this out a little. And then I have our onions separated in this little pile right here. And then we are going to go back and plant these now. Okay. Alan show one, and then I'll come.
That's an inch deep. There's one.
Yep. And just like that.
And we're gonna pull the boxes up, so I guess we shouldn't curl
Oh
it
yeah.
over.
Yeah, Alan just thought that we're gonna, as we move down, we're just gonna pull these same boxes up and use them over and over again. So we're gonna try to plant them where the foliage of the onions isn't over the edge of the box, so we can easily pull the box out. All right, we'll come in and plant these onions and then come back and show you what this looks like before we move the boxes. Again, this is kind of an experiment for us, so we'll see how it goes. All right, we got the onions planted in the boxes, and now we're going to take our bags of leaves and put it down either side and down the middle. These are good mulched leaves, so should be adding fertilizer to the garden as well as acting as a covering and insulation for the onions. Yeah, we're going to do it down each side and then come back and do it in the middle too. All right, I'm going to help and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. All right, so we put the leaves down on either side, kind of packed them down, and now we are going to pull up the boxes and see how this works. Oh, that's perfect. All right, we were scared to pull up the whole operation. Nope, that worked great. Just as planned. Just as hopefully planned. And we'll pull this one up. Perfect. And now we just move it down and repeat the whole process again all the way down the row. This looks like it's going to work out well. I'm tickled. All right, I'll come back and show you the row after we get it done. Okay, we just finished our onion planting project. And again, these were the red candy onions that sprouted from the ones we grew last year that sprouted. And so we separated the sprouts and planted these. And we had to move our little frame that we built about 5 times. So we figured we have about 120 onion plants in this area. And then over here, in this area of the garden, we had these plastic terracotta looking pots out here, but they're old and cracking. So we dumped the soil out of those into these 3 separate piles. And we are going to plant 3 different kinds of lettuce here in this area. So we'll have lettuce growing here, our onions here, our broccoli bed behind it, and then we've got the bok choy and the red Russian kale and the Hilton cabbage growing out in front of that. And the frames that we used to frame the onion beds, we decided to move over here, and we're going to fill these with soil, and we're going to use these as raised carrot beds. So we're filling these up with soil right now, and then we're going to plant carrots here. So in those 3 hills of soil I showed, we are going to plant black seeded Simpson lettuce in one hill, and the other hill we're going to do some little gem, and the other hill we're going to plant red romaine, and this is seed that we saved from our red romaine lettuce last season. So we're just raking the soil, making a little pad for the seeds, and we're just going to sprinkle them over, and hopefully have 3 beautiful hills of lettuce. And I'll sprinkle this in now. All right, feels like the garden's starting to come together. Got this little bed. Our broccoli's still doing well. Haven't harvested it yet. They're still growing, and it doesn't feel like the heads are getting really soft. They're still firm, so I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer. We have carrots growing in these buckets over here. And then we have this bed that we just prepared. We have Danvers half-long carrots planted here. We did our onion bed. These are the red candy onions. And we're going to go ahead and order white candy onions, and we will plant those in this bed when we pull the broccoli, and in this bed beside the broccoli. We have it kind of fluffed up and then mulched over with leaves and ready for those. Over here, I showed you this morning, we planted the Oregon sugar pods, Oregon giant sugar pods. So we have 1, 2, 3 rows of those planted. And then we just planted in this row right here, we just planted some Bloomsdale spinach. And I think that is about all we've gotten done today. Need to get out and do some transplanting and some weeding. These rows, this is pak choi and collard greens. And I need to get out here and weed these collards, and then they're thick enough where we're probably going to transplant those out. So a little bit more work to do, but it's definitely starting to look better. We have 3 bags of the chopped leaves left to put somewhere, so we'll use those for mulching somewhere. And I don't think I've shown our bed of Swiss chard, and it's looking really pretty. Not really big enough to eat yet, but it's definitely looking strong. So that is about it for our garden update today. We're just going to water in all these seeds that we planted. Oh, and yeah, our 3 hills of lettuce. We planted black-seeded Simpson, Little Gem, and red romaine. And that is about all for the update today. We're going to water all this in and call it good. Thanks for watching.